Hi, welcome to episode 3. So I want to start this episode with a story. Um, a couple of, I don't know when this was, siguro mga last year. I had a group chat with um, with a couple of friends, so tatlo kami, and we had a certain humor. Yung tipong humor na kami lang yung maka, yung matatawa talaga. Na if you were not part of our group, parang siguro you'd find this, you'd read the jokes, may isip mo, tatawa na kayo dyan? Ang babaw niyo naman, parang ganon. No. So I know we all have friends like that. So may ganun kaming group chat. And then I said this one joke um, that could be misconstrued as parang medyo borderline bastos. Especially if it was taken out of context, no? So medyo inside joke siya. And then my friend suddenly didn't reply na. Tapos nakita ko na nakita niya. So I suddenly um, went through my mind na, oh no, I think I made below the belt ako. I think that wasn't funny in the context or whatever. So I was thinking, what, should I apologize or whatever? Tapos eventually I gave in and then messaged dun sa friend na parang, hey, uy, joke lang yung sinabi ko I didn't mean it, ganyan. So I was very apologetic. So hindi pa rin nag-reply. So I started feeling bad, no? And only to find out later na this friend of mine was in a meeting. He was in the meeting, tapos hindi siya naka-reply. Nakita niya yung joke ko, natawa siya, pero hindi siya naka-reply kasi nga he was in a meeting. And wala lang, parang I don't know if you've experienced that, and if you've experienced that, if pareho tayo, no? Na when something doesn't go our way, our mind starts to think of different stories on why this happened. Hindi siya nag-reply kasi ganyan, no? And there are lots of different versions of this, no? Na parang example, pag may nag-cut sa'yo sa may nag-cut sa'yo sa traffic, bad trip ka, di ba? Isipin mo, yung person na yan, ganyan-ganyan. Tapos only to find out na baka nagmamadali siya or may emergency or whatever. Di ba? Maraming ganun. And the funny thing is, a lot of times, we tell ourselves stories in our minds. Pero these stories, though seemingly harmless, if you talk about it, parang stories lang siya. But if you think about it, these stories may affect siya to how we feel, and pag may affect siya on how we feel, it affects how we behave, and it affects how parang whatever we do, diba? Whatever we do, and from what we're talking about from last episode, whatever we do may affect siya to whatever we have or not have. And it all roots to a story, diba? And I guess what I'm trying to point out, or what I want to share in this episode, is a lot of the things that we have about who we are, about the kind of person that we are, about what's possible in our lives. A lot of these are just stories, diba? For example, then I have a student na parang one of their concerns was really getting confidence in talking to clients, no? And then we talked about and actually this is not just one, no? Parang thinking about it, I know a lot of students na ito yung concern. Parang sinasabi nila na I'm afraid na pag may tinanong sila, hindi ko alam, I might seem na parang hindi ako expert, they might not hire me. And so they get all they lose their confidence because, mainly, if you think about it, because of stories, diba? So sometimes I ask them, parang, have you ever had this experience wherein may tinanong yung person, tapos parang hindi mo nasagot, and then sabihin na hindi ka magaling or whatever. And not surprisingly, ang sagot was, no, it never happened. No. So where did this idea come from? Diba? Na ganito yung mangyayari. And again, these are stories. These are stories that we tell ourselves. No. Some other thing, and a lot of times, there are stories that mask themselves as beliefs, no? So I may use beliefs and stories interchangeably in this episode, pero kasi they're basically the same. And what I'm trying to say is, following the episode 2 where we talked about the be do have framework, sometimes, di ba, para sabihin natin, okay, we be, or who do you need to be to do what you need to do para you can have what you want to have, di ba? want to be rich, I want to be abundant, I want to be courageous. And sometimes parang people will say na it's not, parang how can you talk about it that it's so easy, just choosing to be, no, choosing to be courageous. In my experience, I've been not courageous talaga. How can I be courageous in a snap? Now the thing is, we're allowing ourselves to believe the story that we are not who we want to be, no. Example, in the past, I've been afraid of a lot of things, of heights, I've been afraid of talking to other people. So in my mind, hindi ako courageous. And that is a story. No? That's a story I've been telling myself. No? So I ask you, what stories have you been telling yourself? No? What stories have you been telling yourself about why you're in your situation now, whatever situation that is? What stories are you telling yourself about how the world works? Um, what stories are you telling yourself about yourself? Diba? I'm not committed, I am committed, I'm fat, I'm thin, I'm healthy. These are all stories. No? And yeah, so I'll give you a few seconds to think about, top of your mind, what stories are you telling yourself? Yeah. So again, I tend to ramble and I don't know at this point if you're getting an idea na parang, oh nga, no, na these are the stories or parang medyo confusing pa. No? Pero, so let me give you some examples na maybe familiar. No? Um, the idea na, I shared with you I shared with you the story na before, hindi ako, I said I needed a client, I wanted to have a client before I called myself an entrepreneur. Because the story I was telling myself was na kailangan may client ako bago ako maging entrepreneur, di ba? That's a belief, again, interchangeably. My belief was that I needed to have a client in order to be an entrepreneur. And um, that belief was parang tantamount to me, to my self-identity, di ba? Because that was my belief, then ibig sabihin, in my self-identity, hindi ako entrepreneur, di ba? Kaya hindi ako nakakapag-operate as an entrepreneur, no? A lot of beliefs we have is about money, di ba? Baka may belief ka na money, growing up, for a lot of people, the idea na money is, kailangan paghirapan ang money, di ba? And again, that's a belief. That's a story that we probably got as children, and that's a story we keep on choosing to believe, or believe or not believe. No, I'm trying to think of other things then that will help illustrate how a lot of things, actually a lot, inisip ko kung all pero a lot of things that define us are all boils down to stories. You know, um, I don't know how religious people feel about this. I consider myself religious, but whatever you believe are stories pa rin, diba? I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, but my religion, what I choose to believe in terms of religion, is still a story that I tell myself. No? I have faith that it's true. I believe it, but in essence, it's a story, diba? So that's what I'm trying to show. No? And what's my point? No, what's my point? Okay, if you figure that these are all stories, what's the point? The point is, if these are all stories, and I'll use the word merely, if these are all merely stories, then the beauty of it is that you can choose to believe different stories. No? Example, let's say, again, historically, I believe na hindi ako courageous. I believe na duwag ako. And fairness mo sa akin, dami kong fears talaga growing up. And that was a story I told myself, si Julian hindi courageous. No? But when it comes down to it, I can actually just choose to believe the story that I am courageous. Yeah. And by choosing to believe that story, that's when I start to become courageous. Yeah. Um, we talked about be do have last episode, and we are saying na yan, being, who do you need to be? And if you find it difficult to just simply say na, like me, healthy ako, I'm a healthy person. No? It's probably because of the story that I'm telling myself. And my story is that when your weight is a certain weight, then that means that you're not healthy. No? But I can choose to believe a different story. I can choose to make a different story. Diba? Again, kaya ko ina-emphasize yung fact that these are stories kasi it's if a story is not working for you, it can be as simple as changing the story that you're telling yourself. Diba? Now, my story now with my health is that health isn't really dependent on what the weighing scale says, but is dependent on what I choose to do with regards to my health. Meaning, today I will exercise. After this recording, I will do my exercise. Kasi I'm a healthy person, di ba? Kasi my belief is that it's not really in the weighing scale that determines health, but in what you choose to do. Now, here's the thing. Some of you might hear that and say, that doesn't make sense, Julian. Doesn't make sense. But the thing is, it doesn't have to. I mean, at least to you. Because that story that I tell myself works for me. And that allows me to be the person that I want to be. That allows me to do what I feel that I have to do to become healthy, to have the results that I want, which is, again, 69 kilos. And yun yung thing now. So I'll do marketing a bit. No? I did this poll before wherein sabi ko, in marketing, do stories have to be true? No? And I was surprised na parang it got a bit of backlash na parang sabi, of course it has to be true. So in advertising, parang bawal mag-false advertising, ganyan. But I think people miss the point of my question. No? Kasi my question was, do stories have to be true? Meaning, for example, if I want to sell life insurance and I want to sell it by illustrating a certain scenario, which I don't know kung nangyari, I believe that I can. And that's not, for me, that's not being fraud. As long as I'm not claiming na totoo siya, di ba? Here's another perspective on it. If you're a parent, you probably told a story to your child or children. You already told stories to your children just to illustrate points, di ba? For example, if you want to teach children about I'm trying to think. Sige, random. Try to think about not talking to strangers. Diba? So you tell them the story of Snow White. So that's a story to illustrate a point. Diba? Snow White obviously is not real. So does that make it parang mali? Hindi naman, diba? So same with marketing, na parang if I use a fictional story, for example, this is what happened to this character in this movie, but if he or she had insurance, then ito yung mangyayari, parang ganon. Again, I'm telling a story, or I'm using a story that is fictional to illustrate a point. No? Now, going back to my point, if you're having difficulties being a person that you want to be, maybe you can try changing your story. No? You are the storyteller of your life. So you can try changing your story regardless of whether logic or other people will say it's true or not. Diba? The idea lang is to be able to illustrate to you that you can actually choose to be this person. Diba? For example, I'm terribly afraid of heights. Pero I'll make up the story that I'm not. I'm not afraid of heights. Diba? Will that make me not afraid of heights? To be honest, I don't know. Diba? But it's a belief that I can choose to hold on to and see how that helps. And syempre, when I talk about believing, it's not just the idea na, yeah, I believe. It's really believing. Diba? Because sometimes pwede mo sabihin na, I believe na hindi ako afraid, pero deep inside, afraid ka naman talaga. So, ayun, I mean, I don't feel like I need to. I mean, sorry, I don't feel like I have any other points naman to discuss. But pero that's one big point that I wanted to share today, no? So I'm not recording my time, pero I think it's fairly shorter than the last one. But it's that. If you're having difficulties being the person that you want to be, to have what you want to have, check out the stories that you're telling yourself. Check out the beliefs that you have around who you are, beliefs that you have around the world, beliefs that you have around how things should be. Diba? Because beliefs and stories aren't, hindi naman sila inherently good or bad. But there are beliefs and there are stories that are limiting. Diba? So, I guess what I want to, my homework, not pa homework, diba? But my homework really is, yeah, number one, to check out what stories are you telling yourself about yourself. Number two, are they working for you? Or are they limiting? And number three, if they are limiting, why not choose a different story? Diba? So what's stopping you from choosing a different story? Now, that idea of what's stopping you is something we can talk about later in further episodes. Pero, yeah, that's what I wanted to share. A lot of the things that we believe about ourselves, about the world, about whatever, they're all stories. And we are not tayo as people. We are not our stories. We're separate. We are the creator of our stories. Diba? And if a story is not working for you, change the story. So I hope that was helpful. I hope there was some sort of breakthrough or discovery there. Um, and yeah, these are the the pilot episodes, the pilot 3 episodes. I hope you like them as bare as they are. And I'd love to know your thoughts. I'd love to know your thoughts on this. You can shoot me a message sa Facebook Messenger, whether on my personal page or yung Dream Nation na page. And if you have any questions that you feel that I can help with, can be specific to what you're going through, and we'll try to get them on the call, or we can find a way to help. No, kasi again, my intention really is to help people break through, to help people dream bigger, to help people tell stories that will allow them to see themselves from bigger than what they have been limiting themselves to believe. No? So I hope that was helpful. No? I believe that was helpful. And I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.